bibirapan na. Hindi ko alam kung naabutan niyo po. Pero kung if ever, salamat. Kung nakabili kayo ng album, salamat. Kung hindi, search nyo lang sa YouTube, libre naman, di ba? Download nyo. Hindi naman kami kumikita na dyan. Kaya ako nagsamit tayo. Bagay ba? Anyway, maraming salamat po, Dr. Takuy, for that very humbling intro. It's been a while since I set foot in this school, actually. Pero nakatugtog pa kami. Dati may U-break dyan eh. So, say ako nun. Sabi ko, imagine, tugtog kami nun for Chili yata or Universal. Today, I'm very grateful that I can share with you how my one small voice was heard and how economics from DLSU has played a big role in its realization. My fellow Lasallians and guests, the graduating students and their families, the excellent faculty of School of Economics, good morning, and thank you for inviting me to speak in front of you today. You see, guys, I was in your shoes 12 years ago. I was about to graduate and I had a dream. I had a dream in my heart. I think a dream that I believe all of us in this room share in different degrees. A dream for happiness, peace, and prosperity for myself and my country. This is really a dream that I think all of us in this room share. And I asked myself, where do I go from here? How do I achieve this for myself? And let me ask you guys, now that you guys are graduating, where do you think you guys are going from here? And where do you think you want to work? What career do you want to get into? End of the day, I'll repeat the three words that I mentioned when I said that I had a dream. Happiness, peace, and prosperity. We all want that. And personally, that was my dream. But you see, maybe my story can help you answer that question now. Let me go back to the SONA of President Pinoy in 2014. According to President Pinoy, in his 2014 SONA, those who do not look back to the past will never get to where they wish to go. Therefore, today it is only right for us to reflect on what we have gone through to get to where we are at. So today, let me chat with you a bit and tell you what I've gone through and where our country was during the time I was a student taking up applied economics. Medyo mainit. Pero salamat yan. Okay. I set foot here in DLSU in 1999. Okay. 1999 yun, how old were you guys then? Maybe some of you probably in grade school. Talaga? Grabe. Ibang-iba pa. Wala pang LDC building no. Although I had an initial foundation in economics and business due to my family background, I wasn't that accustomed to all the technical stuff such as macroeconomic indicators. But you see, in my batch, I grew up hearing so many negative news about our country. And growing up, I wondered why such a beautiful country such as ours could be considered the sick man of Asia. I really couldn't understand that when the rest of the world would talk about the Philippines, they seemed to think that we were a very poor country. Since I grew up in a business family, at a young age, nagtitinda na ako sa mga bazaar. Dati may business kami, yung mga bag ng mga cassette tapes pa nun, at mga CD. Bibenta ako sa mga bazaar. I was exposed to entrepreneurship and wealth creation at a very young age, as young as grade school. So I really wondered why my motherland was considered poor. I really wondered. I was a freshman, sabi ko, matarantaduan yan. Kasi, why poor when we had so many God-given resources to use in order to be wealthy? Yun yung iniisip ko talaga. Kasi daling mag-business, actually kung walang kang pera, meron ako nakilala sa Palawan nung ginagawa ko itong docu. Walang-wala siya, nasunog yung buong bahay niya, nasunog yung nawala, jeweler siya dati sa Mindanao siya, pumunta siya sa Palawan. Kasi walang-wala siya, siguro 1,000 pesos na lang yung dinala niya dun sa Palawan. Pagdating niya dun, nanirahan siya sa beach. Tapos sabi niya, ano gagawin ko? Walang-wala talaga siya eh. Eh since jeweler siya dati, nakita niya yung mga small pieces of mga coral, ganyan. Gawa kaya ako ng mga parang jewelry using this. Ngayon, napakayaman na niya. Nung gusto Puerto Princesa siya gumagawa ng mga parang souvenirs made of corals, made of ano. Yung point ko lang doon is, isn't it common knowledge to all that all wealth comes from our own environment, our ideas, and from our own God-given talents and skills? So, why were we poor? So I really wanted to know how the global economy worked because I saw value in my mother country and I really disagreed with the news. And this dissatisfaction gave me a strong desire and interest to know why and how all these economic indicators were measured. Kasi feeling ko, baka sinistir lang tayo ng mga economic indicators na poor tayo, di ba? Iba lang ang pananaw ko nun eh. So it was at this time that I realized how powerful economics can be and how I can use this power for the good that I wanted. You see, being exposed to business and total quality management at a young age trained me that if performance is not measurable, then improvement cannot be attained. This mentality sparked my interest in economics. So, let me give you a brief background on our country's situation when I was, during 1999, our country was 2 years out of the 1997 Asian financial crisis. Our debt to GDP ratio was 60 to 70%, and our GDP growth was displaying at about 2 to 3% level. The Philippines was indeed in bad shape. I could actually tell you more about other economic indicators, but I'll try to talk faster. The trust and confidence of our people and the world in our country was terrible. It was this juncture that I really began to dream for myself in my motherland. I really had a dream and I wanted to change in my motherland, and just like anyone else, I dreamt for peace and prosperity for myself and my country. But more than just being a dreamer, I was determined to act upon my dream because what my motherland is experiencing affects all of us. You see, whether you're a big businessman, an employee, a farmer, a professor, an entrepreneur, an OFW, a student, whatever we are experiencing is a function of what our motherland is experiencing. So when President GMA came to office in 2001, I was inspired and felt relieved that we had an intelligent economist president coming out from President Era. I knew she could do good things for our economy. And this spark of inspiration helped me affirm in my heart that I could also do good through economics. Truth be told, I really wasn't a serious bookworm student. Because just like any young guy who wanted to make the best out of experiences, I was really kind of preoccupied during my early days in school. I grew up in a business family, was working part-time in my family's food business. I also had a rock band during the time, and I loved to party. So my time for studying was very limited. And I also believe that the proper education should be a well-rounded experience beyond the classroom. Palusot ko lang yun. But when it got to my thesis work, I became really serious because I had a dream. True dream in my heart. And I really let go of a lot of other extracurricular activities so I could work my way to earn my degree and achieve my goal to make a mark through economics. So due to my admiration of the new leadership of GMA and my true intentions to apply economic learnings for peace and prosperity, I was able to think of a thesis paper topic that was significant to our country's fate then. I somehow saw a silver lining from the OFWs and the remittances that were only just $6 billion pa lang during that time. And I wanted to see the extent on how labor export could be really industrialized. Because I believed then that our labor market had core competencies for globalization. I also wanted to know how remittances can contribute to economic development from the ground up. Ground up to me meant inclusive development that could help poverty alleviation and usher new entries into the middle class. So, as Dr. Dakoy said, that his paper I authored was entitled External Remittances, a Gini Decomposition Analysis of its Effect on Income Distribution in the Philippines, which he advised. In short, the paper that me and my groupmates did 13 years ago was really aimed to empirically analyze the income distribution and the poverty alleviation effect of OFW remittances. From the paper, I saw a very big problem that could have created instability in our country in the long run. And that very big problem was remittances inflows were worsening income distribution due to its flow in consumption expenditures in urbanized area. Another very, very big problem that could have created instability in our economy was OFW families were really not trained in saving, investing, and wealth creation. There's a saying that goes, the rich become richer and the poor become poorer. So if you don't teach a person to fish, and you keep giving him fish, and trabaho, pero pagbalik dito sa Pilipinas, hindi marunong talaga at hindi makapag-integrate sa ekonomiya, then malaki talaga, naisip ko na malaking magiging problema. And a lot of these workers were really, based on empirical data, were really having hard times integrating into the economy when they went back to the Philippines. Another very, very big problem that I don't think any of you already know or experience right now is remittances during that time also had a very large informal leakage. OFWs were sending money through informal door-to-door services, and a very large portion was not flowing to the formal banking channels such as government financial institutions and the private banking sector. So usually may mga ahente na door-to-door, black market, yun ang ganun sila magpadala ng pera dati. This was really lowering possibilities of creating a multiplier effect into our economic growth. So from these problems, I saw the light. I saw the power of economic policy. I saw it in my heart that with what I know, I could really make a difference. I thought of a solution to formalize remittances and channel remittances flows into more investment. And my idea was to create a greater multiplier effect through inclusive private sector-led development. I also saw a way to usher in a new middle class by promoting small and medium enterprises development for OFWs and their families through increased savings and investments. So, sabi nga ni Dr. Takoy, I really had that vision. Medyo malaking vision na yun. Pero I was really inspired, and my desire to help the esteemed government as a young man brought me to really act on my goal. And I made sure that I got into the presidential management staff of President Jammeh's office. And I really wanted to use the insights of my thesis in economics research to create a policy that would really make a difference in the Philippine economy. So this policy program, I thought, could really express my idea for peace and prosperity and happiness, as I told you from the very start. Because my belief it was, the peace, the macro, from the macro, you experience the micro. So some people, focus on yourself. With me, I really looked into the macro before I looked into my life. Because sabi ko, I'm a student here, what can I do for my country? Because whatever my country experiences, my family experiences, my business experiences, all of us experiences. So I wanted to create a policy program to solve these problems, and thankfully I was able to get into the PMS Agri-Industrial Infrastructure Policy Office and create the policy paper that Dr. Dakoy mentioned. The utilization of OFW remittances from the labor export industry for the development of small and medium enterprises. Actually, this policy paper I wrote was a dream come true. My goal was to formalize the labor export industry and develop a reintegration program by channeling the dollar inflows into the banking sector and creating inclusive growth in investment expenditures for sustainable economic development. And I was right there, sitting in a place that can really recommend an economic policy and idealized an innovative framework and strategies to really accomplish that dream that I had, peace and prosperity. Now, the national economic policy that the paper created was the Overseas Filipino Investors Program. And I'm very grateful that I was able to do that because through initial implementations within 3 years of my policy paper, GMA reported in her speeches from 2006 to 2007 that the number of Filipinos working abroad has barely increased at 8 million from 2001. But the remittances figures have already doubled or grew by around 100% on that year. That first accomplishment really made me happy. So imagine remittances going towards the formal banking channels of GFIs and private banks. And going through that really created a lot of multiplier effects. They get a loan to other businesses, they get more profits, more employment. This was done through certain strategies, but I don't think I have the time to explain to you some other strategies on how we did it. But I will tell you some results. So from an annual 6 billion remittances flow into the formal banking channels when I first stepped foot in DLSU, with the help of the implementation of the program, today the Philippines was able to grow remittances to the formal banking sector to about 4 times, or almost 300%. So from $6 billion, now it's $23.9 billion of annual US dollar flows. Currently, that's about more than ₱1 trillion flowing into our economy yearly, not counting the multiplier effects from consumption spending, investment spending, banking profits, business profits, and government revenue. About $194 billion of remittances has entered into the formal banking sector from the time I wrote my economic policy paper in 2003 to today. That's about 8.5 trillion pesos plus the multiplier effect into the economy. So this program really has helped the Philippines have a consistent gross national savings rate as a percentage of GDP of about 22.5. And compared to the time that I was a student, it was only 15.4. Actually, it may not be as high as other countries like China, but if you compare the values with the US today, our national savings rate of 22.5, the national savings rate of the US is only 13.8%. That's almost half of our savings rate. I also had a goal to mold OFWs to become overseas Filipino investors and visualize that there should be a national center for this type of reintegration that could be headed by the Department of Labor and Employment. I really imagined, it took me how many days, I was trying to imagine, how can I train OFWs to be business people? So talagang ini-imagine ko lang talaga. Nandun ako sa Malacanang, feel ko, pwede ko sa atin ito mga agencies. So I imagine a center, one center to synergize all efforts of government financial institutions to loan funds for businesses. And the Department of Trade and Industry to help conduct entrepreneurship training, financial education, and recommend business expansion ideas. And OWA to do proper due diligence and screenings of the OFWs and their families. I tried to study the model of microfinance and saw the flaws of not training the entrepreneurs properly in terms of saving and in terms of business planning. And that's the reason why I really thought that we should really have a center for integration. And I'm happy and grateful to share with you that today we already have a national reintegration center headed by DOLE that was created in 2009 through a Republic Act of 10022. And I am very happy that the present administration has fully supported the program, the present administration of President Pinoy, because in a news article dated March 19, 2014, about 4,000 jobs have been created by the 2 billion OFW loan program under the leadership of the National Reintegration Center. Meaning, a lot of all these OFW families who wanted to put up their own businesses after they became OFWs have now access to credit to expand their businesses without collaterals, just based on cash flow. It has created many opportunities from massage spas to agri-businesses, piggeries, franchise businesses, food businesses. So it's this type of inclusive development has been happening. So all these results are really an answered prayer that dream realized through the power of my economic learning from this school. And I'm very, very grateful that I was able to use the learnings from this school for that. And I'm very happy to share with you that just this Christmas I received a wonderful gift from President GMA, who congratulated me for the Overseas Filipino Investors Program. Although incarcerated at the Veterans, she sent me in my house her personal global economics book from Harvard with a note saying, "Congratulations to our young economist." Okay sana kung medalya, di ba? Pero nasa Veterans. Pero okay na rin yun. But the reason I shared with you this experience of mine is to let you know how powerful your economic learning from DLSU can be. That's the reason why I shared it to you. You see, I was just one small voice with an idea. An idea fueled by a dream with true intentions of happiness, peace, and prosperity. Today, the idea has made a significant mark in our economic development. Because in the words of Victor Hugo, nothing is as powerful as an idea whose time has come. Today, we are all enjoying the fruits of this program. It is evident in the economy and the business environment we are experiencing today. If you're a businessman, you'll feel it with more customers. If you're looking for a job, you'll see more opportunities available. If you're a school, you'll see more families can now afford higher education. This, I think, is just the beginning of my dream realized. In comparison to the time I was a DLSU freshman dreaming for change, our country's Gini coefficient that was once 48.23 has been reduced to 43 in 2012. Today we are one notch above investment grade rating. From the time I was a freshman here in DLSU, we were 3 notches below and we were highly speculative. Our current debt to GDP ratio is at a record low at 49% for the year of 2014, compared to a high of 74.9%. Our annual GDP growth rate has been consistent, meaning stable, playing at around 6 to 7% over the last 4 years, compared to a 2 to 3% during the time I was studying in DLSU. This is just the beginning of my dream realized. A dream that I believe all of us in this room share. And I truly see continued growth in our country, a growth that is based on net worth and self-worth, and not dangerous speculation and leverage. An inclusive development from the bottom up, supported by the sustainable economic development that is perfectly led by the private sector's robust investments, and supported by the good governance of the public sector. I do believe we are now living a new dawn, a golden era for the Philippines, as it plays a major role in a new world order. I continue to pray that we continue to attract the right private and public sector leaders and inspire all the stakeholders of the community to be good stewards of where we are at now. Because all of us here today have different roles as stakeholders of our world in our own lives. From your economics professors, from the entrepreneurs, from the farmers. Now, you see, a healthy economy can only exist with different stakeholders of the economy. So I invite you here today to choose your role in the economy. And whatever you choose is cool. Yeah, you want to be a musician, you want to be an OFW, you want to be a professor like your great professors right in front of me. You want to get into the finance industry, you want to put your own business. One of you might even be the president of the Philippines in the future, or the governor of Bangko Sentral. You want to get into agri, it's all good. But what's important is you keep dreaming. You keep dreaming and you continue acting on your dreams. Because you see, guys, your time is now, and our time is now. You have to dream, look inside your heart, and chart your own life, because everyone has a unique place in the circle of life. And I do believe that if the true intentions of our actions contain the values of good governance, goodness, peace, prosperity for ourselves and our world, then the fruits of harvest in our life will contain them. You actually started this, the MC started with I think, a phrase stating that you see the fruits from the type of person. I remember. So let us continue to plant good seeds for our motherland. And of course, for ourselves. So we can harvest these good fruits for our personal happiness, our self-worth, and our net worth. My wish for you today is that you may continue to be good stewards of your talents and skills and learnings in economics, and you may apply it wisely in integrity in your path in life. The choice is yours, guys. Anything you decide in your career, I told you, is awesome. Because you see, we are all connected. We are all connected by the power behind economics itself. The invisible hand made popular by Adam Smith is the force behind what modern thinking calls the law of attraction, that can attract to you whatever career path you choose. So wherever you go, I want you guys to be grateful that you have had the opportunity to learn from this excellent faculty of the Salle School of Economics. I would like to personally thank you, my dear professors, for continuing to shape the future minds of our world and molding them towards their chosen fields of endeavor. So guys, choose your own adventure, be happy, enjoy it, because our success contributes to the continued success and happiness of our country and the world. Now, before I end, I'd like to share with you a music video from the film that I produced and directed with the help of the veteran stars nationwide. It was actually an empowerment project that we did right after Typhoon Mongloy. It's a movie talking about the law of attraction and empowerment, that by starting with our own thinking, our own positive self-expression, and our good governance, we can all be happy in love, health, wealth, and success. Congratulations to the graduates, and thank you.
Naniniwala ako na ako ang pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako ang pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako sa akong pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako ang pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako ang pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako ang pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako ang pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako na ako ang pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako ang pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako na ako ang pag-asa.
Naniniwala ako ang pag-asa.
Isang himig ang aking narinig, minsa'y nanaginip, ating bansa'y umaawit. Isang himig, pag-ibig ang hatid, ang musika'y batid sa bawat puso at isip. Ikaw at ako, tayo ay Pilipino, ating bansa ay nagkakaisa. Isang dugo, isang lahi at musika, naniniwala ako ang pag-asa. Isang himig, pag-ibig ang hatid, ang musika'y hatid sa bawat puso at isip. Isang awit ang aking narinig, Kristiyano at Muslim, magkaisa sa awit.